Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It is Monday. It is the 13th of February. And we are here. We are chilling in my car. And lately, I've been feeling better than good and better than most. And sometimes, you know it, come on, even better than that. Only a handful of you know that. But I've been feeling pretty good lately. And I think the question is, has changing my perspective and reinterpreting my past caused me to feel good? Or has feeling good prompted me to change my perspective and reinterpret my past? I don't know. Maybe we'll answer that tonight. But I can't tell you this. I have been thinking, and usually when I got some stuff simmering up there, you can expect the thought of the day. And today's thought of the day is about the Dalai Lama. And I just finished up his latest book, which he called, let me see if I can show you it, Beyond Religion, Ethics for a Whole World. And let me tell you something, this is a very fascinating book. And this is a very fascinating teacher. A little history about the Dalai Lama. This guy had a very dramatic story. He basically had to flee Tibet in 1959 to escape the Chinese army. They wanted to get a hold of him and kill him. And they had to go as far as, like, disguising him as a common soldier just to get him across the border from Tibet into northern India, where he is today. And he's been teaching and sharing a message of hope ever since then. And he said something really interesting that I love, and I think it's relevant to what we're going to talk about. The Dalai Lama, he said, be kind whenever it is possible. And then he said, it is always possible. Isn't that good? That is good. And, you know, I actually posted something that he said for my quote of the day this morning. And it went something like, if you want to help others, or if you want to, like, I think it said something like, if you want to help others, practice compassion. If you want to help yourself, practice compassion. And I had a couple people message me saying, Mayor, what does that mean? What is the underpinning lesson there? What's the takeaway? And I said, why not just do a thought of the day? But I think my real answer is, why ask me? I don't know anything. I'm just a student. Why don't we ask the Dalai Lama? And he actually talks about this in his book, Beyond Religion. He talks about, and he distinguishes the differences between sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So he basically says sympathy is just being aware of another person's pain and suffering. It's just being aware. There's no emotional investment. You're only showing concern. That's it. That's where the buck stops. And then he says, empathy, on the other hand, is characterized by a kind of emotional resonance. Now you're feeling with the other person. And I actually read another book by Matt Lieberman called Social, and he talks about why our brains are wired to connect with each other. And in his book, he talks about how empathy is actually a word that was introduced to the English language like not even more than 100 years ago. It comes from the German word Einfühlung. And that word basically means, in German, it's a word used in philosophy to describe, like, getting inside the work of art or getting inside nature. It's like experiencing a first-person perspective, like in the skin, through the eyes of the painting or the sculpture. And I think that's a really interesting way to look at it. So that's empathy. Compassion, on the other hand, is far different than sympathy and empathy. Compassion, the Dalai Lama says, is the desire to pull someone from their pain, to remove someone from their pain. Isn't that fascinating? the feeling that compels you to remove someone from their suffering and agony. I think the question now is, how does that apply to you and I? How can we take that and make ourselves better people? He shares a really great story in his book. He talks about how he was on a speaking tour in India. He went to a place called Bodh Gaya to start his speaking tour, and it was going to be like a month-long tour, a series of teachings, and he was going to travel to the most rural parts of India. And he said that people traveled from all four corners of the country to see him and to hear him speak. And he said over the course of that month-long tour, he developed this really bad gastrointestinal infection. And he said he had to cancel the tour because he was in a bad place. He needed to get seen. So they had to take him, the people who were escorting him had to take him to the nearest westernized, modernized hospital to get care. And, he's in like the most rural parts of India, and you could probably imagine the roads aren't very good. So every bump in the road, every pothole, he said it threatened to overwhelm me. Every bump caused the most severe and sharp pain I've ever felt in my life. But since he was in the most rural pockets of India, they were also the most poverty-stricken areas in India. And he said he would look out the window of his car that he was being driven in, and he would see children running around in the streets, naked, malnourished, completely underfed. He said he would see elderly people laying in makeshift cots and in beds on the sides of the road with no one to care for them. And he said he was so focused on them. He was just so immersed in their pain and their suffering. He was so compelled to do something about it. He was so compelled to pull them out of that something special actually happened. He said, I forgot completely about my own pain in my stomach. And I was like, whoa. And then he said, the moment that village was in the rearview mirror, my pain returned to me. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. There's a reason why I love helping people. I mean, it takes me off of my own pain, my own miseries. I'll give you another example. I was on leave in Los Angeles. I was on leave for about 26 days, and it was a great time. And the best part was I got to see my daughter, and it was a really fun time being with her and just sharing that time together. And I gotta say though, it was a really challenging time as well, because the whole time I was on leave, I was anticipating coming back and getting fired, like I told you. And it was like a looming cloud always hanging over me. I couldn't quite relax. I never felt completely at ease. I could never just forget about it. I was with my daughter at the park, and after we had finished playing at the park, I put her in a car seat in the back of my car, got in the front, and I got a message from a friend here in the UK. And my friend said, Mayor, I'm over here in Portugal. I'm at an airport, and I'm at a public internet terminal. And I said, what's going on? He said, I'm not in a very good place, man. I said, what's up? He said, I just had a really bad falling out in a 6-year relationship. It just ended. And he said, Mayor, I poured everything into this relationship. I poured my life into this person. And he said, Mayor, I contemplated killing myself before coming to this airport, but something told me to keep going. Something told me to go to the airport and get on this computer. And I did that. And he said, I logged into my Facebook and I started watching your videos. And they helped me. He said, I can't even tell you how much they helped me. And I stopped what I was doing. I had my daughter in the car. We were ready to go. And I was like, we're going back to the park. Unbuckled her. We went to the park. And I was probably the worst dad in the world. I didn't even watch her. I was talking with my friend for the next hour. And I just wanted to listen to him and understand where he was coming from and understand the pain that he was feeling, so that I can help him in any way that I can, even if it is just lending an ear. And after about an hour, he said, I'm going to get off this computer, I'm going to get on the plane. And I said, good, do that, because I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation with you when we get to the UK. And he did. And let me just tell you something. I don't tell you that story to impress you, but to impress upon you that hour, aside from spending time with my daughter, was the most fulfilling time I spent during those 26 days on leave. Why? Because I had totally put my own pain and miseries and problems in the backseat, and I focused on my friend's problem. That gave me a sense of happiness. You know, the Dalai Lama, he said something really interesting as well. He said, if you want to be selfish, do it in the most intelligent way. Don't do it in the stupid way that we've always been doing it. And the stupid way is just focusing on yourself and trying to fulfill your own needs and happiness. We only become miserable in the process. If you want to be selfish in the intelligent way, focus on helping other people. Practice compassion. And he's right. Why? Because compassion, it takes us off of our own problems, and it helps us focus on other people, and it's intrinsically fulfilling, not extrinsically. You know, there was this one other spiritual leader who said, if the hand feeds the mouth, should the mouth say thank you to the hand? Well, no, because they're one motion. Practicing compassion, acts of compassion, are acts from the self to the self. Let me say that again. Let me repeat that. Compassion is an act from the self to the self. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I've lived. Let me just leave with you one last thing here. My favorite quote here. Oh, I got a lot of favorite quotes, but this is one of my other favorite quotes. I know what you're thinking. Like, Mary, you got a bunch of favorite quotes. But something that's really relevant to all this. It's that it says, helping a person will not necessarily change the world, but it can change the world for that person. That is the quote of the day. I look forward to talking with you next week. Until then, stay strong. We're going to keep this train moving, baby. I look forward to it. I hope you are too. I'll talk to you next week.